Put some bags on top of my car to keep my stuff dry. Trying to find something to re-secure it with. So let's get on with the video, right? People's reasons or excuses, depending on who you ask. People's reasons beginning for not coming forward is, well, them not having time. If you care, you'll make the time. You make the time for what you care for, or what you care about. I'm busy. Well, that right there, same thing. There's the I'm broke. Now, what's the solution for that, right? You guys say work more, work more, work more. Well, if these people are telling me that they can't take the time to make a police report or go to court like they said that they would, because they have to go to work, how is working more going to help them to make a police report? Good question, right? Also, at the very beginning, false charges were pressed on me to prevent me from being able to get help and to try to convince people not to listen to me. And that smear campaign has continued to this day. And it's forced me to do some pretty desperate stuff. Then people want to excuse all of the crimes of others because I had to do something desperate to try to get heard and get the evidence seen. There's a lot of people who have families who care about them. Then you get families like mine.
You walk past our car, girl.
People got all sorts of excuses, don't they? There's ones who, well, were sick or their families died. As far as them being sick, well, I can be patient until you get over it. You know, if you got the flu or something. But then there's the point where it's always something. Always. Where you promised to help somebody and you didn't. There's a train going by, so I'm not trying to yell. I'm just trying to be close enough to my phone to actually be heard. So, the family member dying. You know what? Yeah, take care of what you need to on that. I'll still be here. Maybe. But it's the fact that there's always something. Now the solution for me is that those people need to come forward now and actually speak up about those things. There's also the assholes who, yeah, they knew a lot about what was going on, but they wanted to use the skeletons in their own closets. I'm in between two people who are also yelling over the train. So it's not just me. I'm not imagining a train. There is a real train. I'll even show you the real train. Right through them trees. That's a real train. Is that a figment of my imagination or is that really there? My solution for people who won't come forward and tell the truth because of the skeletons in their closet was to record those people and post it on YouTube. Alright, your skeletons are already out there. We got it out on Front Street. That's out of the way. Now you can come forward and tell the truth instead of cowering. That's one of people's least favorites at all my solutions. But there's a lot of people who are involved that just don't want to admit that they were involved. They don't want to admit the bits and pieces that they had a part on that really did make a difference. They also didn't want to recognize the difference that it makes. Oh, that's a nice chair. They must have busted part of the frame, otherwise it wouldn't be out here. Oh, interesting. Maybe somebody's using it for break. With all of these folks, there was always simple solutions. And all it came down to, all I wanted from every one of these people from the very start is for them to come forward and tell the truth instead of making me post it on the goddamn internet. See, here's the thing. My friends are dead because you guys wanted to hide shit. If you want to hide your own personal crap, that's fine. But when your secrets are getting my loved ones killed, I don't give a fuck about your secrets. I will tell the whole goddamn world. These are my loved ones you fucked with and they're dead. I got a lot of living loved ones who are scared shitless. I got a lot of evidence of this and you guys just won't listen. You got this messed upness in your noggins where you think that you know better than everybody else. You talk about anybody who's different. When you're talking about your problems and somebody else has them, you automatically go towards the classism, don't you? You start assuming that they're richer than you. Maybe it's a white person and you're talking about how minorities are treated. And yes, I'm absolutely going to admit that that stuff happens. I grew up in the system. Of course there's racism. But the thing is, if you're going to blame all white people and say it's because white people make more money than immigrants, well, I make very, very little. I'm disabled. I make far less than $1,000 a month. Far less. It's not enough to live on. It's not enough to rent a place anywhere in the United States, or nearly anywhere in the United States. But that's the problem, is that not everybody of a specific color is a rich white guy. We get a lot of this stuff shoved down our throats that increases the divide and conquer that's happening here in America. You say every man out for himself, and then you say you're selfish. No, we either work together or we get nothing. The Constitution starts off with we the people. The problem with most of these youngins isn't that they're lazy. They do have to work harder than you and more hours for you to get a lot less. They haven't grown up with a Constitution. If they were born after 9/11, the Constitution is a myth to them. It does not exist. They're well aware that it could be taken at any point in time over many, many things. Maybe there's a special strain of chicken pox that comes out. Well, now all of a sudden your rights are suspended. Let's say some foreign power decides to run a couple airplanes into something. Your rights as Americans are suspended. How many times have your constitutional rights been suspended in your lifetime? And since 9/11, when have they released our Constitution back to the American people? To this day, it has not happened. To this day, the police have free rein to bully, harm, harass, threaten, and intimidate anybody that they choose to. So as provided as they pick somebody more poor than them. So you get a lot of these groups that, and not everybody in these groups is like this. This is a good point to make as well. But many of them are. In many of these different groups, it doesn't matter what group it is. If you got more money than them, they say, oh, well, you're just better off, so you don't know what it's like. Well, when it turns out that you have less money than them, well, what's the excuse then? Oh, well, you must not have worked as hard as me. I have more than you because I worked harder. For the other person who's got more money than them, it's not because they worked harder, it's because they inherited it. It was given to them. But when it's somebody lower on the totem pole, oh, you get even worse. You're like, oh, this is all this stuff that you rich people do, and then you find out I'm not rich, and you're like, what? Doing all the stuff that you say rich people do. It's a class thing. Shit rolls downhill. Your rich daddy molests you and your little sister, well, shit rolls downhill. Who are you going to take it out on when CPS, instead of doing something about your daddy, has you put into the system for cutting on yourself? Oh, now you got suicide litigations. That's right. You're mentally ill. Now ain't nobody gonna listen to you. Your daddy can rape you whenever you want. You got a choice between A, you stay here in the system, or B, you go back to your predator's house and you hope your friends will still like you after finding out you were in a mental institution. Congratulations, dumbass. That's what you get for trying to turn in your predators. People had all sorts of excuses for not coming forward, for not speaking up. All sorts of them. And the thing is, none of them match up or line up with what the cops were saying. None of them. Nearly all of them line up with the fact that I tried turning this shit in. Cops wouldn't take it. I had to do it alone. It also shows that many of these people claim that they went in alone. Unlike me, they didn't save evidence of it. I'm going to want to see their evidence. And I'm going to drag their asses into court and ask them why it is that they never came forward, especially knowing that I was being abused. The most important ones are the Nebraskans, because every Nebraskan is a mandated reporter. I don't have to be a mandated reporter to know that, well, if I see somebody raping a woman in an alley, I better fucking do something about it. That's a no fucking brainer. If the law says it's okay for me to walk on by, well, in some places it is. It's okay to walk on by. In some places it's absolutely not okay to walk on by. In some places, if you just walk on by, your ass is going to prison as an accessory. Better safe than sorry, right? Oh, we found somebody's key. 318. It's like a hotel. This is a hotel? This might be one of their keys. I guess since we found it, we can try to turn it in. Hello. Is this place not open? We found a key. I'm assuming it's for here.
Yeah, it's 318. Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You didn't see me do that. I'm supposed to be some big scary monster and whatnot. I don't do good things. Ooh. Doesn't matter how good a person you are at all. All it takes is the right person saying the right slander. People will dance off into the hills and make any excuse. The problem is when people are telling you they're going to help you, and then they're telling you that people are threatening to kill them and their kids, their husbands, their dogs. That's some creepy shit. Well, my predators pretend that I did that shit, or would, or could do that shit. These fucking asswipes actually threatened that literal stuff to me and my family and my loved ones. God damn, Oregon people don't know how to stop. God made breaks and they weren't mistakes. Use them. Anyway, it looks like it's starting to somewhat become sunny. It's been sweltery all day. I got a notification on my phone this morning saying there was going to be a heat wave. And even with no sunlight, well, no actual direct sunlight, because it's coming through the clouds, it's fucking hot. It's a sauna, like I said last night. Now let's take a look at the excuses that people had, literally with many of them over a year after when they should have first listened and fucking spoken up. When somebody, especially an at-risk adult, or a child comes to you and tells you about abuse, you need to fucking take it seriously right then, right there. Not 6 months down the road. Hello? Also, just because you can't see somebody's disability doesn't mean they don't have it. I know some of y'all got an uncle with a fucked up back, or a grandma with a messed up hip. You can't see the messed up hip, so it must not be messed up, right? To you, their disabilities don't exist because you don't see them. Just like people who are, in alternate universes compared to you, that'd be people who are homeless, people who are minorities, people who are called mentally ill, people with disabilities. Each one of these groups, you may be a part of one of these groups. You may be a part of one of those groups, and as a result, you understand the part where a lot of people don't understand. And you might not be a part of the other groups, and maybe you'll make a connection there. Maybe you're somebody who's disabled and you're kind of a dickhead to black people. Well, maybe you'll look at it a little bit differently now. Maybe you'll actually be nice to black people. Or at least try to listen when somebody says something's up, instead of assuming that they must be lying because, disabled people, they must not know what they're talking about. Or black people, or Hispanic people, or any other group that you want to assign that crap to. And we've got a lot of bias here in the United States. The great American melting pot. Well, if it was truly that melting pot, we'd all be brown. I remember in the 1980s, we still had kids that I went to school with being made fun of because they were mixed. Not in my schools. My schools had been fully integrated. And the kids that I went to school, until Nebraska, of course. That's racist redneckville, and it's another story. My solution to the Chapel, Nebraska problem, a lot of people, their excuse was that they were afraid for their kids. Well, if you're afraid for your kids, there's about 30 or 40 other people who wanted to tell me they were afraid for their kids as well. Why don't you all get together, stand together, and speak up instead of victimizing me for having to? When other people threaten you and your kids and you blame me, well, you know what? I didn't make you speak up at the beginning. That's when some people did try, but they never bothered to find out what the hell was going on. They just wanted to talk out their backsides. I went back and I recorded a lot of these folks. I know people want their privacy, but you don't get that with me anymore. Too much crap that happens that if it's not recorded, people get to pretend it didn't happen. Lucky for me, I recorded it. Unlucky for me, I still don't have real help to look at it, and I still have to take abuse. A lot of you guys say I should just drop it and let it go, like that's actually a possibility. Maybe in your world it is. But no, poverty and homelessness is not something you get to just fucking walk away from. It's not something that you can just magic your disabilities away either. That's a fucking myth too. Just like the myth that you guys know better than me without finding out what's going on. The myth that you guys know the situation better than me without living through any of it or looking at any of the actual fucking evidence. You want to pretend I'm a bad person for things that I was literally forced to do under penalty of death. Not just myself, but others. You guys want to pretend like I'm some sort of a horrible person. No, these people needed to leave me the fuck alone. That's all they needed to do. Leave Sean alone. Problem solved. That is the easiest goddamn solution in the whole fucking world. Leave Sean alone. The problem is they didn't leave me alone. And everybody help that I had was fucking ripped away from me. You want to be angry at me and say, oh, well, you shouldn't have done this and you shouldn't have done that. Well, you know what? I admit to everything I done. People wouldn't say, you don't admit to everything. You blame everything on everybody else. You're narcissistic. No, I'm not. Guess who lit that fire over at Ken and Leah's? I did that. Guess who admitted to doing that? I did that too. That's right. Now the question is why? Try to force that evidence into those motherfuckers' hands and make them fucking look at it. People who promised me they were going to help me to get that scene didn't help me get that scene. They twiddled their fucking thumbs. That's how you treat disabled and homeless males. Not okay. Each and every one of these things, there is solutions. The solutions to the cops lying is for those people that are recorded to admit those things in fucking court and put them on a fucking police report. That's a fucking solution right there. Fuck, I am sweating like a pig. And don't tell me pigs don't sweat. I saw them officers the other day. And you want to tell me about respect? That's a great one. Loyalty above all else except honor. When I say that, a lot of people want to stick to the loyal thing. No, I'm not an honorable person. Why would I be loyal to you? I can be loyal to your safety and loyal to your protection without being loyal to you. With each of these people telling me that they were afraid of being targeted, or that they had seen all these other people who were targeted, and that people were getting a hold of them and saying, hey, I've been targeted, all over the situation with Sean Schwartz and Natalie Bollinger. It's pretty fucked up, isn't it? You notice how I put my name first? That's right, that's because I've been enduring this abuse for a lot fucking longer. I grew up in the system, same as Natalie. Some of y'all might consider me lucky that it was not my dad who raped me. A lot of these people, they want to use the excuse, after telling me they're going to help me how I need, they want to use the excuse of when they were going through shit. Well, nobody was there for them, so they're not going to be there for me. Okay. Then later on, they want to call me and ask for my help. You sure you want to do that, asshole? I record everything. Oh, the number of people who have asked me for meth over the internet, knowing I'm not even in the state of Colorado. It's just phenomenal. And all people that, well, actually it's mostly people I don't actually know. They're just reaching out. Although there's a couple of them, like one of them, her name's Sophia, and she worked at the pedestrian shop. She reached out for some hard stuff too once, but no, I don't mess with that. And Victoria was asking me once too. No, don't mess with that. Anyway, the solution through all of this was for these people to speak up because I'm not allowed. No matter what. Because I'm a male, I'm not allowed. Because I'm homeless, I'm not allowed. Because they called me mentally ill, I'm not allowed. The Constitution definitely doesn't exist for me. Anyway, you know how I end these videos. Good to be with you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper and no victim left behind.